Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Early Birds podcast. And today we have a special guest, good friend of mine, very welcoming when I entered the broker space, Marc Summers, president of AIM. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. Thanks for having me today.
Yes,
This
sir.
is going to be fun.
Yes, sir. It is going to be fun. And my God, I didn't realize your voice, how deep it is. It's a radio voice for sure.
It's because it's early in the morning.
Yeah.
Give me time.
So for those that know, it's 6:43 in the morning here in Michigan. Early Birds podcast is all about starting your day early. And that doesn't mean, that you have to start at 4 or 5 a.m. If you have a night job, we appreciate you. We know that is a very important job. But what is your early? If your day starts at 5, generally, are you getting up at 3 in the afternoon as opposed to 5 in the afternoon? This is all about starting your day sooner, just getting prepared and being ready. So, Marc, I'm going to dive into it, sir. Your background is very fascinating. Been in the mortgage space for some time. Yes. I just learned you were also a ball boy. Your entire life. Can you tell me about that?
That's the fun stuff. So, my dad was one of the vice presidents for the Palace of Auburn Hills Pistons. And I think, when I was 9 years old, he was working the games. And, me and my brother, he missed us, and he was just like, I got to work these games. He went in every day at 7 a.m. So then he talked to the trainer over there and said, hey, can my sons be ball boys so I can be there with them? And that's how it started. Literally at 9 years old, 10 years old, I was at the Palace for every single Pistons game.
What was that like? If you can recall, 9, 10-year-old Marc Summers losing his mind, running around with these athletes. What was that like?
Looking back on it, at the time you were just so enamored with the fact that you're around these great athletes, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. You can go on and on and on about this, right? I'm actually going on a podcast here in a couple of weeks to talk about literally for an hour about my ball boy experience. So because so many people are fascinated by it, but it was, it was jaw dropping at first, but then you learn how to, be around people that, are mega stars and stuff like that. And I think it helped me later on in life, just being around people, and what you realize real fast is they're just human beings, just with probably an extraordinary talent. Is what it boils down to. But I learned so much from it. I've gained so many experiences from it. I still talk to some of those guys once in a while. So I could go on and on about being a ball boy.
It's something I'm curious about from a mindset perspective, and I'll kind of fill you in a little bit. So with my background, I'm first generation. My dad was actually one of the first Arabic singers in the country, in the United States.
Okay.
He moved here when he was 18 years old, and I remember growing up, everybody in the community, the Arabic community here in Michigan specifically, they love my dad. And I'm the firstborn son, and so in my culture, that's a big deal. So I remember, to your point, it was at a different scale, but when I saw my dad in that light, and then I saw people the way they looked up to him and the way they wanted to talk to him, and you saw people line up just to speak to my father, that gave me a different mindset as I grew up too, because I was okay, there are parts of that I really loved. I'm okay, I have to act a certain way, a different way. I got to grow up a little faster because of it. Did you go through that with being around those athletes? And then do you believe that's taken its shape on you today when it comes to your success and your focus and everything you do?
Absolutely, 100%. You hit the nail on the head there. Just how to treat people. You know what I mean? And president of AIM, and we have these great events, and there's people that want to talk to me, and which blows my mind, but that people actually want to talk to me. But at the same time, it's you learn how to treat people and give them the time, that it may not be a big deal to me, but it's a big deal to them. So then it makes it a big deal to me, even if it's just hey, how you doing? Thanks for, your time and energy with AIM. But no, it humbled me. It also teaches me just how to treat people properly.
That's so spot on. It's so funny. You never know how big your impact can be on people, and so much of it has to do with your attitude on a daily basis. And I try to tell people, especially in the role that I'm in today, it's I have to be on nonstop. Yep. And we have our days. You and I were, talking a little bit earlier today.
Off air. We were talking about
we're not ready to talk about it yet. Maybe in 20 years. But off air stuff you and I were talking about just from a leadership perspective that you deal with. But you got to be smiling. You got to be just dialed in constantly. And so that's something I'm always, very fascinated with on my end. What is that situation like for you when maybe there's some conflict arising, and then you got to keep that straight face on, and it's not even play that game, but it's just being a pro. That's how I look at people. Are like, oh, you're being political. No, I'm not. I'm being a pro. I'm processing my emotions, and I'm dealing with it the way I believe is best to deal with it. How do you cope with all that, especially in the role that you're in, dealing with so many people in the broker community?
Well, let's be honest here. All of us mortgage brokers are very, very emotional.
Yes.
We're very, very reactionary too. And one thing that I realized a long time ago is that it's basically like this too shall pass. You know what I mean? And if you just give it time, I coach as well. You know, I'm a high school basketball coach, and you know, I put a 24-hour rule on parents. Not that I ever have. I have great parents, but you know, once they can calm down, and it goes with everyone. Once you can calm down and just relax. First off, I always take the positive route with everything. You got to take the positive route. There's got to be some positivity in this somehow, some way. Silver lining. I always take that route. And then whenever I come up with a conflict, you know, talk people off the ledge, let them know this is what we're working on. This is how we do things. And then I always make a note, call them 30 days later. Call them 30 days later, say, okay, remember what we talked about? How's it going now? Was it that big of a deal? Or did it work out your way? Or whatever the situation is, because there's 4,000 situations that we deal with on a daily basis. But it's, you know, a lot of times people just want to be heard. I mean, let's just be honest here. They just want to be heard. You know, it's a voice, and that's what AIM does. We're the voice for the community. So if they have to bounce something off me, I'm all ears at all times.
You know what? I love that so much. And the thing people don't understand, you know, everyone talks about the success, and we everyone knows this, right? You ask anybody in a room, they want to be successful. Everybody raises their hand. Why do only so few people achieve that success? To me, I truly believe it's the granular little things. The thing you mentioned, 30-day checkup, right? Who else does that? You know, I try to think through that. Like, who else is really doing that? And they're paying attention. And you're doing it with a purpose. From that planning perspective, has that been there your whole life? Or have you established that? Were you ever like a procrastinator and then turned into this like planner? Or is this something you've kind of always had your whole life?
Oh, God, at times I'm the biggest procrastinator out there. I'm not going to lie. But no, I haven't had that my whole life. I'm always, people fascinate me. They absolutely fascinate me. And I always look at some successful people of how they do things. And then I just try to emulate that or say, okay, what's my touch on it? You know, I don't want to be someone else. I want to take something from them that I can incorporate with the way I do things, and kind of also, what would I want? You know, and that's how I always look at things. So, you know, I just, in my head, I said, I think that'd be cool if someone called me back 30 days after I bitch and moan, you know what I mean? Or complain or have an issue. And I said, well, try it. And it's worked out pretty damn well.
That's that consistency piece, man. It's so funny. It's like there's all these constant rules to success, but following them is the hardest piece of it. Life to me is about perspective. If you're able to like put yourself in other people's shoes from a perspective angle, it truly, truly helps you grow significantly. Now, I am a little curious about the ball boy thing again. Okay, and I know you're doing a podcast.
We can talk about this all day.
I don't want to because you're going to go on the podcast, but I am curious about one thing. You talked about meeting, you know, all these athletes, and I got to go back. You don't got to mention any names, but is there any people that you met along the way, maybe people we might know, you don't have to mention a name, that maybe you saw didn't treat somebody the right way and kind of bother you, saw it from afar and went, I don't know if that's the route
so
I
won't name names on that. I will not name names on that. No names. But absolutely. But it was very few. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, with the way media is, they can portray things a lot worse now. But like, you know, I mean, we worked the locker room. I was in the locker room with these guys all the time. And I'll say there was 2 to 3 players that we all know, and I'll tell you off air who they were, that in the locker room, they were arguably some of the worst human beings I've ever seen.
Wow. But
once again, I could sit here and focus on that. And then once again, perspective, I could sit here and focus on that. But 97% of everyone else were amazing, absolutely amazing. So I focused on that. That's what I looked forward to.
You know, those we call them culture killers is something I call people that bring that room down. And you're right, 97% of the room, for the most part, to me, is great people, regardless of where you're at. But that 3% can hurt you so bad. How do you shift a culture like that, whether it be with AIM, your brokerage, mindset, family, keeping people in the right direction? How do you focus on maybe not removing those culture killers, but either A, changing their mindset, or B, maybe you do just have to remove them? When do you make that choice?
It's a gut feeling. You know what I mean? Some people, I shut the door on them. I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what I say, no matter what we do, you're not worried about the mission. You're worried about, you know, something that's so minute to get your point across. And other people, it's just allowing to have conversations. You can disagree with me all you want, John. I'm telling you, you can, as long as we can have a conversation about it. And if you can't have a conversation, you're done. I'm done. I don't want to talk.
It's so emotionally draining. I try to explain that to people, especially with how busy, you know, days can get for all of us, not just myself, not just you, for all of us. And it's like you only have so much power mentally every day. And it's like, do you want to go through that battle every single day?
Yep.
For you, when you are shutting that door, I think people struggle with the confrontational piece of having conversations. That took me years to learn, just not going to college and not really dealing with that. And so I learned it through the business world at a young age, and I'm fortunate I did. But where do you start a conversation of confrontation like that, where you're going to just disconnect with somebody? How does a Marc Summers even go about that?
That's tough. That's tough. Sometimes I just say, hey, listen, if I'm shutting the door on someone, I'm just going to tell them, listen, I'll put out everything I've tried to do for them. If you think there's something else I can do, please let me know. But we keep hitting this wall that we can't get past. You get extremely emotional about it. I'm done. There's great, when you look at things, and once you said it, perspective, you know what I mean? Like I had a son that was in the hospital for 19 days.
Wow.
So when you go back and look at that, that was the most important thing to me in the entire world. Not this, not lender paid versus borrower paid compensation, not correspondent versus broker.
Wow.
I'm done. You know what I mean? Like if we can't get past that, then we're done.
Man, you just hit me right in the heart with that. And people don't even try to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when things go wrong, you as the leader, in my opinion, right, you're supposed to take that onus, that responsibility, and when things go right, your team takes the onus, right? It's all about them and what they did and what they've accomplished. Right. People don't understand the part that does get hard, and it does hurt sometimes. I'm not going to pretend to you it doesn't. It's like they don't even ask about, my personal life at times, which is fine. It's not their job. Right. Honest to God, it's not. They have a job to do. I don't expect them to worry about it. But when they're putting all that emotional energy on me with their problems and their issues, it starts to get tough when they're not even thinking about yours.
1 second, I think you knocked that.
Oh, shit. That's okay.
Starts to get tough.
I got it. I hit it. Dude, this is good. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, I don't know if it's good. I'm glad.
No, you're doing it. He's crushing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's flowing really well.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So it's you ready?
Yeah.
It starts to get really, really tough on you mentally from that draining perspective. How do you deal with the emotions of your everyday life and then incorporate it when you have to go and have a difficult conversation with either the broker community or even a family member, whatever that might be? How do you keep those two so separate?
You have to. It's taken a while to learn how to do that. I used to take my emotions home. I used to take them everywhere I went. And then, God love my wife, she said one day, she's like, listen, you're taking whatever happened with this person, and I'm not going to name names, and you're taking it out on us right now. Why don't you calm down? And that hit home. I'm like, I can't believe I'm bringing this BS home. You know what I mean? I got a great family. I got a great life. I got so many things to be blessed about. I'm worried about one damn problem. No. Okay. So I try to, I block out time as well where I will not look at my phone. You know what I mean? I will not do anything. There's also been times when things get hot on social media. We all know about those keyboard warriors. Yeah. But I will delete Facebook. I'll delete Instagram. I'll delete everything that anyone can get a hold on me for the weekend, because that's for my family. If you really know me, you know how to get a hold of me.
You know what's crazy, man? My fiance, same thing. Not even too long ago. We're gone some days very long, especially our industry, 12, 14 hours a day. And we're sitting there, and like you said, we're smiling all day, we're dialed in. And then you walk in the house, and my energy is just depleted. They're deflated, right? And my fiance one day, I'm just sitting there, I don't want to talk. And she's like, do you think it's fair to me that I'm not there with you all day, and when you walk in, you don't have the energy to sit there and have conversations with me? And I looked at her, and sometimes that when the loved ones get you, you're just like, damn,
I'm a terrible human being.
Yeah, I got nothing to say right now.
Yeah.
But it's such a good point, and it's something that people don't even think about necessarily. And that's so true, because with your everyday life, you got to find a way to navigate through every single piece of that. When it comes to you and your business and growing into this field and everything that you've accomplished over the years, what's been 2 or 3 of the more difficult things that you've had to face when it comes from an adversity standpoint?
Oh God, give me a day. Every day is an adversity day. I mean, really look at it. 2 or 3 things, those are tough. I'm telling you, the business itself, to me, yes, it's market based, but it's not that tough as long as you're a good person, and as long as you put out to people. And like, I don't try to sell people. I just try to educate people. And if they want to go with me, they want to go with me. Then I move on. But my big things are, like we just talked about, taking things home. How do I treat my family? What am I doing for my family? I do all this stuff for all my clients. I do all this stuff for all my employees. What am I doing for my family? Because at the end of the day, if let's just say this business blows up, who's going to be standing by your side? And it's going to be your family.
It's all about the right relationships.
Yeah.
You know, the family's a big part of it. And when it comes to right relationships, especially in the business industry, you know, I remember you and I first connecting, and I remember you telling me, like, you're like, who the hell is this guy, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I came from the retail space over, and from the business sector, I think sometimes it's hard to figure out who you can trust and what they're looking to do. How have you learned to establish, from a relationship aspect, which people that you should spend some energy on, and which people you're like, maybe I should be a little more cautious?
Well, this is a big fault of mine. I trust everyone up front right away.
too, man.
It's bit me in the ass a lot of times, but I look at it this way. I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to trust in people. I'm going to trust in what they do, how they do things, until they betray my trust. And then once they do that, it's you already have 2 strikes on you. Then we're done. You know, so I don't know. I probably trust people way too much because I'm also an open book. I don't have a lot of things to hide. You know, so why waste time? Life is too short. Why waste time trying to get to know you for 6 months when I could have known you in 1 month, you know, and known everything about you. And then if you betray me, or if I find out you're not a good person, okay. Oh, well, I tried.
You know, that's so fascinating to me, especially with the time. You know, we talked about the time wasting and all of that stuff. People don't take that into consideration when it comes to time and how much they can value their time. And instead, they spend a lot of time, we've talked about it before, whether complaining or blaming other people or self-deflecting. For you, how have you learned to navigate through, and we all do it, right? Potentially victim mentality. I've had it before too. Woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. How have you been able to navigate through that with everything that's happened? You went through the '08 crisis, obviously, too, and you shifted your focus. You talk a little bit about '08, how you shifted that focus, got out of that victim mentality, made a shift, and then made another shift.
Lots of shifts going on there. Yeah, the '08 thing was tough, you know, just because it was a completely different industry back then. It was the Wild Wild West. I mean, I remember when I started, it was, okay, do I have to take a class? Do I need anything? And it was like, no, just sign the application and be done. Go get their pay stubs, probably fake pay stubs. You know what I mean? And be done with it. When '08 hit, it really made me grow up. It made me grow up fast. But then I got a great opportunity again with the Pistons.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And one of my mentors, you know, he called me and he's like, hey, why don't you come sell for me with the Pistons? And I'm like, why not? It's like going back home again, you know? So I did that, I think, for 4 years, and it taught me a lot, you know, like how big businesses work, how to really communicate with people over the phone a lot. It taught me how to step outside my box. It taught me many things, big budgets, little budgets. It taught me so much. I am so glad '08 happened in one sense, just because of what I learned from that.
So hold on a second. So 2008 happens. All of that occurs. You shift into sales for the Pistons during a recession.
Yep.
So you started selling tickets?
Yep. Corporate sales, suites. Yeah, the whole 9.
How difficult was that? What kind of shift was that from your mindset to from mortgages over to that?
Oh my God, it was it was a complete 180. But once again, I looked at it and I could have sat there and said, well, this isn't mortgages. No, I'm not making $5,000 on a deal per se. But I sat there and said, I'm blessed someone wanted me to come do this with them. You know what I mean? And just this experience, I mean, hopping on the Pistons private plane and flying to Cleveland, or, you know, I mean, like, experiences once again, because I don't know, I'm not this big philosophy guy, but at the end of the day, all we have is our experiences. And that's what I always talk about. I mean, even going back to the Pistons, you know, like ball boy, work in the locker rooms, all my friends used to ask me for autographs all the time. You know, can you get this autograph? Can you get this autograph? You know, and players used to give us their shoes and stuff. Oh, I'm telling you right now, the day that I was done, you know, going to play college basketball and I was done being a ball boy, all my friends and, you know, and she's now my wife at the time, said, well, what do you have? I didn't have one thing. I didn't have one signed card, one pair of shoes. I gave them all away. Why not? Those people enjoy it way more than I do. I got the experience. They just got a pair of shoes.
Just being so selfless, man. You know, I've been very fortunate. You know, I take care of a lot of people. God has put a lot on my plate, and I have the shoulders for it. I'll tell you right now. You know, and I used to have resentment towards being the certain positions that I was in, and it used to bother me. And to your point, I had an awesome mentor that got me over that resentment of whatever it was that I was feeling towards whoever it was, because at the end of the day, it's all about my experiences and the perspective that I have in regards to my experiences. And that to me is so difficult to do. How has it helped you more sharing and just giving as opposed to you keeping everything closed in and inside like a lot of people do nowadays?
I don't know how people don't do it more. I sit there and look at that. I don't know how people don't do it more. It's like, it's the greatest thing for me. Like when you start talking about AIM, escalations, right? I handle a lot of the escalations or kind of push them through. I have a great team that does a lot of it and great partners, don't get me wrong. But some of it, I will sit there and say, I'm taking this one on. You know what I mean? And then I take time out of my day. But to be able to call people back and say, I got it fixed. You know what I mean? Or we were able to get it fixed. This is what you need to do. And just to hear them, oh my God, thank you so much. Like you just saved me $7,000. And I think it was Russell Petty got on Facebook. I helped him on a deal and I saved him $21,000. Wow. I didn't even know it. I didn't care. I just wanted to help. And that right there is priceless to me. You can't pay me enough to do that.
You did. So I don't know if you remember, you did one for me, and I
forgot about that.
And I never. It's crazy because like I tried not to ask for stuff of that nature. I'm very dialed into it, but I'll never forget. I asked you. I broke it all down for you, and not even 3 hours later, I got a text back from you. You're like, "Yo, this is all set."
Yep.
And I was.
I
Like,
totally forgot about that.
Yeah. And
I don't. I mean, like I thrive on it, but I don't like hold it. You know.
No, you don't.
I
It's
just
not a.
on to the next one.
You're
Let me
not
help.
coming back to tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, you remember when I did you that favor?"
Well, I'm going to now.
Yeah. Now that you remember. That's the part people don't get. It's like you're not doing. It's not even favors, right? It's when you do it, it's out of the kindness of your heart. And I try to explain to people when I do something like that, my heart is so filled.
Yep.
People don't understand, and my day is more enjoyable. And in our industry, there are days that are just not enjoyable.
Right.
So why not put yourself in a position to have certain moments and opportunities to where you can feel that kind of love and feel that kind of joy?
I mean, I look at this. I looked at so many people that helped me through the years. You know what I mean? Or just treated me outside the box a little bit differently, a little bit more special. You know, and we can take it back to the ball boy days. Grant Hill, he was my guy. Like he was the man. He is so much my guy. My firstborn's named after him.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean? So, and the true story. And he was so great to me. I remember. I think I was 16, maybe 17-ish, and when he was leaving the Pistons, he pulled me into a room on the side and said, "Hey, just want to let you know, no one knows yet. I'm going to Orlando." And I was heartbroken by it because he was my guy. You know what I mean? And so many other people treated me good, but I look at this like on my 16th birthday, lets me use his car, gives me all this Duke stuff. That's why I became a Duke fan. I mean, like, and I sit there and look at it and go, he didn't have to do that. Like, people don't have to do things, but why? Because he's a good person. So right away, I sat there and said, my first son's gonna be named Grant.
I'm getting emotional, and you're giving me goosebumps. I'm just being honest with you. So, and there is a reason for why. And I used to think this all the time. I had the most incredible mentors. I really did. I'm so grateful because I would not be in the position I'm in, especially with my background and not, being first generation and not having financial literacy. And I used to ask myself, I'm like, why is this, this human being pouring into me that doesn't need to pour into me and teaching me and guiding me, and they want to help me. And you know what I learned about it? And as I got older and I kept asking them these questions, and my biggest mentor passed away about 5 years ago, only a couple days ago. And someone said, he said, "John, we pour into you because you're letting your guard down. You don't have the ego and your eagerness to work and want to learn." And they would tell me, "John, we need you here at 7. I'd show up at 6. "John, we need you to work till 10. I'd stay till midnight." And it's like, I wanted it so bad,
right.
But I also wanted it because it's like that human being's pouring into me. And how honest to God is how I feel, how disrespectful of me not to give everything I have to this person that does not need to spend time on John Haddad.
Right.
They don't. And you took that same philosophy and that same approach and applied it to, obviously, Grant Hill. I mean, that's just...
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool is an understatement, man. Like nobody knows that. And it gives you different perspective. And you can either be cocky about it, right, and go to school and like, yeah, I don't grant this or that. But you took a whole different approach. Why do you think you took that different approach?
Well, first off, my dad would have kicked my ass if I did. But I mean, look at those guys I was with every day, and another cool part of it was, so I loved basketball growing up, obviously. And so then the guys and the strength and conditioning coach at the time, Arnie Kander, he's like, "Hey, if you want to play college basketball, you better get serious." So during the summer at their practice facility, I would go there Monday through Friday with them and work out with the guys, right? So, which was absolutely amazing. But then you get to see these guys every day and how they act and how NBA superstars were humbled. You know what I mean? I mean, absolutely humbled. And I just always sat there and said, there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone above you. Just be humble about things and take that on with your life. I mean, that's all we can do. I mean, I'm not a cocky person anyways. I hate cocky people. I like confident people. Cocky people suck.
And there's a difference too. I tell people all the time. There's a very, very big difference between that. There's that fine line, you know. And the confidence piece it helps you a lot because you have to have that confident mentality. And we're getting close on time, but I do have 2 questions for you before I get into my last question.
Hit me.
First piece of it is from the confidence perspective. How have you maintained confidence over the years with everything that you deal with?
It's tough. It's tough because, you know, sometimes we get battered down by people's problems, you know what I mean? And then you sit there and go, why am I even doing this anymore? But at the same time, it's that thing of just being able to help again, you know, and that's what gives me the confidence that if someone's reaching out to me for help, then I have to have somewhat confidence in myself, even if it's just one person. I have to have confidence in myself. A lot of things I do as well is, you know, like I told you, I coach high school basketball, and I tell the kids all the time, hey, we're going to use basketball. No one's going to be an NBA star here. We're going to use basketball as life lessons. You know what I mean? So I have to be confident around them about what I teach them. And, you know, because like I tell the parents all the time, I'm developing young men, you know, and I want them to be I want them to be great people. And I want them to have the confidence. And I want them to have life lessons. And we're going to use basketball as the vehicle. So with that being said, it's just, I'm forced to be confident. I'm strictly, to be honest with you, not a very confident person. But I have to have a lot of conversations with myself. I have to have a lot of, I do these little quick, you know, like Instagram things.
Yeah.
And, you know, whenever I need a good ass kick and I just go, I got to listen to David Goggins real quick. You know what I mean? No one cares. Shut up, do your thing, move on. But I'm forced to. And I'm glad I'm forced to. I mean, because it would be really easy for me just to crawl in my shell. I could go to my office and not talk to anyone. But if someone needs me, I'm there for them. So I have to be confident.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth. It's way easier to go into a shell. It's way easier to be negative. It's way easier to have dark thoughts. It's way easier to not want to do shit. You know what the hard part is? The hardest damn part is truly what you just said. Try being positive every day, all day long. Try putting on a smile all day long. Try staying confident all day long, because people are watching you, whether you believe it or not, whether it's your kids, your family members, and they are counting on you, and they're going to be a reflection of what you're doing, especially if you're the one kind of leading that charge in your hierarchy in that family. So that's so fascinating, and people do not spend time thinking about that.
Right.
Most people's thoughts, I heard a statistic, 80% of people, like, their thoughts are negative. And that to me is mind-blowing. My second question to you before I get to my last one. You talked about memorabilia and you gave everything away. Yeah. Do you have anything now from a memorabilia standpoint?
No.
Good for you, man.
I don't have anything. The only thing I have is one of my coaching mentors, Charlie. He's one of the greatest human beings I ever met. He specifically, I told him this story a long time ago, and then he went out and found a Grant Hill signed picture that he went to some memorabilia show, whatever it is, and then said, this is for your son. That's the only thing that I have. My kids might have some stuff from like recent stuff, but in terms of me, I have nothing.
That's amazing, man. And then my last question, so we end every single one, and I'm just very curious to know, you got a 17, 18-year-old Marc Summers, all right? He is doing his thing. He's playing ball. He is navigating through life, trying to figure out what he's going to do next. And all of a sudden, as this man is shooting hoops, he sees your version of Marc Summers walk in through those basketball doors, ready to coach. And you get to take 2-3 words to this young man at 17, 18-year-old. What would you tell Marc Summers today?
So what am I going to tell the young Marc Summers? First off, don't eat like I do now, because I was like 140 pounds back then. But no, I would personally say have confidence in yourself. A lot of things we touched on. Have confidence in yourself and be the most selfless person out there, because it always comes back. I mean, we talk about it in our business all the time. You know, don't do things just because you're going to get reciprocation. Do things because it always comes back. It's the way the world works. It's karma. I'm a big believer in karma, you know, and be selfless, be confident, and take care of your family.
Man, I appreciate you very, very much for being on here. That is another episode of the Early Birds podcast. And for those of you out there, I know it's not easy, and I know your lives might not all be the same and might not all be rainbows and butterflies. But here's what I will tell you, and I know this from the bottom of my heart. I have been in dark places. I've been depressed. I've been through all of it. It is way harder to focus on the positive, but I can promise you this. When you do, when you surround yourself with those positive people, your life, day by day, slowly but surely will change. But it's going to take you and your discipline to focus on that positivity. And I challenge every single one of you to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marc Summers, for being on here, sir. I hope you guys have an incredible day.